Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Feedback Friday. This is where Tim and I review resumes and portfolios, invite you up on stage, learn more context about you with the goal of helping you iterate your career path and bettering the assets that you're wanting to showcase to your potential employers. We do this every Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're new here, drop a link to your resume or portfolio in the chat, and then we'll get you in the queue and we'll invite you up on stage here in a little bit. Tim is out today. He's off hosting a picnic somewhere. I think he's got him and Grace. I think they've got 300 attendees from the Design Buddies community showing up to one massive picnic in San Francisco. Very cool. I'm not in the area, so I won't be able to be there. And then in Tim's absence, we've got Tarika joining us again today. Tarika, hello, welcome. Glad to have you join us again.
Great.
Tell the folks
Yeah,
a bit about yourself.
Hey everyone. I'm currently a designer at Amazon. I have been working in building agentic AI experiences for the last 4 years. Even before that, I was working in traditional AML. So all in all, I think I've had a great UX AI experience in the last few years, and I actually have design experience across multiple different industries, even fashion. I used to be an industrial designer before, healthcare, retail. So hopefully that kind of that experience might help. I would be able to help you guys, regardless of which industry you're coming from. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, glad to have you back again. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because in Tim's absence, our screen sharing capability is a little bit askew to what it normally is. So I'm going to share my screen in a unique way today. You'll have to all click on my face here, but we're going to make this work. So there we go. Let's go ahead and invite, who's first? Ling Dong is first. Ling Dong, if you're out there, put your hand up. Otherwise, I found you. There you are. Invite to speak. Ling Dong, welcome. Happy to have you join us for Feedback Friday. How are you?
Yeah, I'm just watching and I'm not discuss with my portfolio back then.
Well, I'm glad to have you now. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the problem that you're trying to solve.
I'm trying to. Hi, my name is Lindo, and I'm still looking for a job. And I'm just my work is just like a volunteer for volunteer care study, and some is just for my school, and I just want to get some review and hope I can get some feedback and for myself.
Got it. Okay. What's the problem that you're trying to solve right now? Are you currently applying for jobs and are trying to get a job at a larger organization?
Now I'm just trying to find a job and also organization that can help me to do. Since I'm still looking for some volunteer projects that can help. I also try to find some volunteer project that can help me leverage my chance to get hired. So it's kind of like still like improve. It's still like doing enhancements.
I think I'm understanding. Let me repeat that back to you. Am I hearing that you're still in school currently?
Now I graduate and I got my bachelor degree. I think on May.
Wow! Congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. So I'm hearing that you are a recent grad. You have a couple of case studies on your portfolio. I'm hearing that they're all volunteer effort. Is that accurate?
Yes, yes, it's just one volunteer. It's from in the hacker for LA.
Okay, interesting. And I might have missed the important detail there. Did you mention that you were job searching or were you still only looking for volunteer efforts?
I think I'm looking for like a boss because I could not find a job my own, but I can find a volunteer really easily. Because like civil tech and this kind, I just ask them to they need the volunteer and I just like the lecture in them. But I find some volunteer is kind of like suits my style and some is not. So I kind of like just like a balance right now. I also try to join the team group that try to help me like get real world experience.
Got it. Okay. So I'm hearing that you are looking for a job. You're currently applying for positions. Any ideas on what job title you're applying for and targeting?
Right now is just right now I remove the graphic design projects and I only live with the UX UI design. I'm looking for something like more like a visual designer and some UI UX designer, but I'm more prefer like working on the visual type. But I also can do like user research and the other kind of thing. So I'm thinking I'm looking for like a product designer and UI designer and also like a web designer and like also web designer too.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So I'm hearing a couple titles that you're potentially striving for. Product designer. I'm also hearing some UI in there, some UX in there. There was a conversation there about the different skill sets that are incorporated within these individual job titles. We can absolutely talk about that. Did you have a particular goal for your portfolio? I think you had mentioned that you're still in draft stage. Was there a particular area you wanted us to focus on, or are you just looking for a high level overview?
That's for the overview. Maybe you can look in with my volunteer one.
Sure.
Volunteer
Okay, is that
this
this first
one.
one?
Yes, because the other is just like academic.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Tarika. So we're doing a high level overview and then a shallow dive into the
Yeah.
first case study here. I've been talking a bit. Did you have any quick thoughts off the top of your head here as I peruse through this?
No, I think let's dive in.
Excellent. So cool. Ling Dong. There are a couple of things we could possibly talk about here. So one of the items you should be aware of is that case studies and portfolios in the product design space have three typical target audiences. Audience number one is recruiters, then hiring managers, and then a third audience that we're calling peers. So in regard to recruiters, these are folk that don't have a deep intrinsic understanding of who you are and what you do, and their strategies for looking for candidates when they're filling jobs, it's a lot of like SEO strategies. So they look at they look at job description A, they look at candidate A, and then they try to match up key phrases that are relevant to both of those things. So when it comes to recruiters, we're looking for a couple of things to assist with their flow. A strong value prop at the top. There's some opportunity for improvement here. And then on case studies, we're looking for a little bit of housekeeping. You've got some of that already. You've got a role, junior designer, tools, Figma, industry is, in this case, social impact or nonprofit. So you're already doing some of those keywords we're looking for. For hiring managers, we're going to focus way more in depth on the case study here, how you delineate problems, how you break them down into smaller pieces, how you problem solve and think about ways of managing particular expectations through stakeholders and business alignment. And then the third one, peers, we're going to target these guys in a different way. Let's come back to them because they're a tertiary audience, and I think the first two are more important for the current state of your portfolio. Let me first say you're doing a lot of things here really right. Like the philosophy here is clearly in the right direction. You've got your version of a value prop which has some opportunity, but like you're trying to do it, and then you've got immediate case studies following the value prop, which is exactly the order that you should have them in. Those are the two things that recruiters and hiring managers are looking for the most quickly. So I think your philosophy here is doing great. And then you've got an About Me section down here. Interesting. Okay. Cool. Let's talk about this. Well, we can talk about this value prop. Tarika, how you feeling so far? I'm going to dive into a value prop here in a second. Any other high level things that you're noticing that I haven't mentioned?
Um, I agree. I think you're doing a lot of things like architecturally well. I think what I'm like philosophy wise as a recruiter, I'm looking to understand which space I'm most interested in. Because I think yeah, like just reading from the landing page alone without diving deeper into the projects, I'm not fully sure which area you're more inclined in. So that would be something nice to maybe highlight up top.
Yeah, I love that train of thought. Lingdong, what Tadika is describing here is a hiring manager or recruiter is going to come to your homepage, and their goal is to align. Hey, I've got job description A, which is entitled something like UX designer for the healthcare tech industry, blah blah blah, and then a job description associated. Ideally, your value prop at the top of the screen would perfectly fit you for that job description's title immediately. That enables a hiring manager or recruiter to immediately know, oh, I should read more about Lingdon's profile, or I can skip it and go off to the next one. That's why the value prop is so important. So the value prop should describe who you are, what you do, and that's key we're missing there. So you've got, like, I'm looking for a product designer or UX designer somewhere in your title here describing what you do. So who you are, what you do, followed by who is your target audience, and then what's ideally the benefit that you can provide that target audience. How are you feeling? Let me pause there, Lingdong. How are you feeling about all of that? Is that making sense?
That makes sense. I feel like a subtitle is more like about me right now.
Say that one more time.
I just feel like what you say it's about like about me section. I don't know.
I see what you're saying. Okay, cool. Let me show you an example then of why Tadika and I are talking about this in such a fundamental, paramount fashion. Let me pull up. I've got a collection of case studies that I've saved over the years. There's one in particular I'm looking for here. Carolyn, here we are. So Carolyn's portfolio here is my go-to example of if Tadika and I or Tim and I were to create the top 10 things we'd be looking for in a portfolio, Carolyn's portfolio does exactly those 10 things and then nothing else. So there's no additional fluff. Therefore, it's a good portfolio to use as a barometer for like, am I heading in the right direction or not? Am I looking for success here? So Carolyn's value prop at the top of the screen. Carolyn, I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name. San Francisco-based product designer with 9+ years experience shaping products and customer journeys across high-growth B2B SaaS and early-stage startups. So value prop, who she is. She's Carolyn. What does she do? She's a product designer. Who's her target audience? San Francisco-based high-growth B2B SaaS and early startups. And what she does, and the benefit that she provides them is increasing high growth with her 9+ years of experience. So like this value prop describes all of the things that are needed to be described, enabling recruiters and hiring managers to understand her immediately. Tadika, I'm getting a little bit of feedback from you if you don't mind. So that's a value prop in a nutshell. Lingdong, how are you feeling about that? Is that making more sense why we're really trying to hone down on the value prop?
Yeah, that makes sense.
How do you feel about your ability to write a value prop? Do you feel like you've got the capability to dive back in your portfolio and write one? Or are you looking for a little bit more feedback on like how does one go about creating some sort of actionability there?
I can just like doing some imitate one few things like I'm from New York, so New York based like I say the product and the UI UX design because I used to write this. But I escape the experience. I just write what I can do for like I can create the mobile and the web design experience that can help like a startup and also I'm working with a non-profit organization, so I can try with like a for non-profit organization that's related to the healthcare and in the other kind of volunteer I've working before.
Got it. Okay, cool. Hey, I pasted a link in the chat. If you're looking for assistance writing that value prop, Tim and I created this utility that helps you go about writing that value prop, and it's going to force you to make a bunch of like opinionated questions here. It's going to ask you some opinions, and it's going to force you to have stances on these things, and it's going to build a value prop that helps you target some of your career ambitions and goals. Anybody else in the chat also totally welcome to use that utility. Let's see. Tarika, I'd like to jump into a case study now. Is there anything that I haven't talked about on the homepage that you want to chat about before we dive into a project?
Just one additional thing, I think, just related to value prop again, but I think I'm increasingly seeing designers sort of show off their personality, like very unique personalities, on their portfolios. Like, what have they done outside of work? What are they interested in? Like, even like, music interests or the articles they've written. That has really attracted me to certain portfolios. So you could explore that to enhance your value prop.
Let's dive into the first case study here. Overview, solutions first. So when I'm looking at case studies, Lingdong, I'm looking for typically 3 questions that I'm looking to get answered. Question 1 is, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Question 2 is, how did you go about solving that problem? And then question 3 is, how did you validate success that the problem was solved? So if I'm looking at question 1, what's the problem you're trying to solve? That's the immediate section I'm looking for, is like some sort of diagnosis on what the problem is. And I think I'm seeing it here. Despite this mission, many users found it difficult to get the information they needed, leading to low adoption and limited engagement. That's huge. Would love to see that emphasized. So like you've got an overview section, would love to see a problem section, just enabling hiring managers and recruiters to quickly find the problem. The reason I'm honing in on this is the rest of the case study, as I scroll through this, everything I'm seeing now for the rest of the case study, I'm trying to tie back to how does this go about solving the problem that they had originally intended. So without seeing that problem statement, the rest of the case study just becomes generic and abstract. That's why I'm like really wanting to emphasize seeing that right at the top. Okay, cool. So the rest of this I now know is trying to solve low adoption and limited engagement. Understood. A solution first for places that will come soon. Interesting. Problems. Okay. Food Oasis current hour displays prioritize simplicity. Some ideas. Okay. So the order of information. Well, let me first say you're doing a lot of things here that are awesome. It looks like there's supposed to be an image here. Is that just my browser? Yeah,
I kind of screenshot what they say and a lot of screenshots.
Screenshots are great. Love that you're leaning into the visual aesthetic of this, or at least some visual presentation here. Let's see. There are a couple of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about storytelling, and I want to talk about the order of information here. Let's talk about storytelling first. So, Lingdong, something you should be aware of is that no one is actually going to read your case study, which is a bummer because we all spend so much time building these case studies and nobody reads the dang things. So what recruiters and hiring managers and all the rest of the internet's going to do is they'll take a look at your case study, they'll skim through it, they'll scroll through it, and then they'll move on to the next case study or close your portfolio from there. So then the question becomes, how can I write a case study that's then consumable for those folk that skim and scroll? And there's 2 things we want to hone in on to solve that problem. One is heavily leaning into storytelling in your titles, because as folks skim, that's really the only thing they're reading are the titles. And then number 2 is heavily leaning into like really interesting imagery that engages the user and ideally tell some of that story just through the visual presentation of it. So one of the barometers that you can use for validating your titles are leaning into storytelling is if you were to only read this case study by the titles, we should still have a gleaning of what the problem is you were attempting to solve for. So if I were to just read the titles, overview, solution first, problems, some ideas, and you get the idea. We're not like gaining any information here. One of the tricks we can use to dive deeper into storytelling is to either summarize the section below it in your title or utilize one of the sentences in your title. Like, for example, this overview section. I'm going to skip the overview section because the overview section is kind of like this. It's a special section that all case studies have. Let me scroll down to the next one. Problems. One of the tricks we can often use is let's just replace the title with the first sentence in your paragraph and let's see if that tells a better story. So instead of problems, we could say Food Oasis's current hour display prioritizes simplicity, but key scheduling details are often hidden or unclear. That's a way better title. And feel free to dive into longer titles because as folks skim, they're only reading the titles. Therefore, you have to be a little bit more detailed. 2 would be a more effective method of building that trust with hire managers and recruiters. And we can go through the rest of these, but it's going to be the same principle as we go through the rest of these. Lingdong, how are you feeling about that? Is all of that making sense so far?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Tadika, how you doing on your side? Anything exciting to talk about?
I agree with your feedback. And just to double down on that, I think engagement is one thing. Like you have to figure out how you keep someone engaged on your website for how much ever time they're going to spend here. I think one of the metrics is you would want them to see at least one or two of your case studies, because I would assume you have different verticals you're hitting or just different breadth of your work. So you could also explore as they're going through a case study, how do you surface those other case studies that you have? A lot of the times I've seen designers show their preview of their other case studies, the more relevant ones, down at the bottom once you've gone through this one. Another thing, I think Nate talked about it a little bit, give an overview section that is a small, tiny bite of everything, the solution, the problem, etc., and make it visually engaging, so that they don't have to read anything else. And I would invest a lot of time, I think, in making your hero images that we see up top or even the landing page a lot sexier. Basically, that should give me a quick overview of what it is, what the project is about, without reading anything. I think visually speaking, this is a small visual note on my screen. I don't know if this is intended, but the overview solution for all of these labels are looking like it's black, it's merging into the background. So it was hard for me to read them. So that would be another thing. Maybe it's a bug on my end, but just maybe look into that.
Say that last one more time. I didn't fully follow that one.
So on my screen, the overview, the solution first, all these labels, the headings, they look like they're in black font against a background.
Oh, the background is dark. Interesting.
Is that the same? Yeah. Is your my screen? I can't see your screen right now, but is yours in light mode?
Yeah, it sure is. Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I only see dark mode, apparently.
Interesting. All right. Lingdong, how are you feeling about all of our feedback so far? Because typically there are other things we can talk about. Typically on these calls, we want to prioritize what are like the top most important things you could work on right now, with the goal of here are the top number 1, number 2 priorities, and then we can chat again later to work on the next priorities. How are you feeling about all of this so far? Are you feeling like you've got some actionables to work with?
Yeah, I think I'll try to make using the Figma to make first, I think I've tried to really light the word and make in the overview I will divide to first to introduce the food OCC and the challenge in the second let's say about the despite the information. So I would make the hiring manager to find it easily. And second, I will try to using the solution first, but I try design with the annotation with the image. Let's make it visual appealing. And moreover, just think about how to make the case study like a shooter. Let's just improve some of my what I'm like proud of. This is my proud of and something can talk about.
Excellent.
Lastly, I tried to make it in the dark mode because I use in the Figma and I already have the dark mode.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see in the chat, folks are posting screenshots. They are in fact in dark mode, and I am missing that somehow. Did you intentionally?
Yeah,
Did you design this for dark mode
yes,
priority?
yes, I did. I can share my screen and I can share my screen, but some of like thing I needed to make it dark mode later. But I can share my screen with the dark mode, but it's not really I'm still design right now, and
Hmm.
I said my design can share my screen, and the net can help me with the dark mode.
Yeah, I believe you, and I see the screenshots. The Discord stage utility we're doing won't allow you to share your screen, unfortunately. But Ling Dong's showing it. Oh wait, you can share your screen?
Yeah,
Are you doing
because
something
it's
fancy?
screen here.
Are you doing? Are you using a virtual camera to share your screen? Or are you just hitting the share screen button?
No, I'm not still doing it. Wait a second, let me share my screen.
I'm
Sharing.
blown away. I didn't think Discord stage enabled you to share your screen.
Let me stop the screen, and I'll do the window one. Folio. Let's do it.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that.
Okay. So the dark mode the color is like blue. So I haven't changed this color to the white yet. So but it's more like it's already have this thing. Okay, match mode. I'm trying to
Ling Dong, I love that you're
sorry, I
walking us through
can't do
this. I'm looking at the clock, and we've got to move on to the next one. But I'm so glad.
yeah.
I'm so grateful you shared your screen and you showed me that this was a thing that you were capable of doing on stage. I thought it was only for admins. I didn't think you had the capability.
Yeah, it has YouTube video to teach you. I've followed some of YouTube video and do it on my own.
Nice. Okay. Well, Ling Dong, hey, pleasure talking with you. Really appreciate you being willing to hop on the call with us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
All right. Next on the list,
Excellent.
we've got Kunal Jungi. If you're out there, put your hand up. Otherwise, I'm going to look for you in the chat. Kunal, have you left already? And the next on the list after that would be Ammaro. If you're out there, you're on deck. I see Ammaro out there. I think Kunal's hopped off. Ammaro, you're up. Let's get you up here. Ammaro, I've sent an invite to speak button your way. You should have a button on your side of things. Ammaro, welcome. How are you? You are currently muted if you're talking. Yeah, Ammaro, looks like you're still muted. If you're looking for the mute button, it'll be in the hotbar in your Discord settings at the very bottom of your screen.
Yeah, I just noticed.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. What about you?
Doing really well, thanks. Hey, appreciate you being willing to hop on here. Give us some context about who you are and what's the problem that you're trying to solve.
Okay, first I want to tell you just that my language is very weak. I am Arabic, so I just just want you to check my profile on Behance and give me an overall reviews or tips to improve my profile or
Got it.
my portfolio, especially.
Okay. Which of these? It looks like you linked us to a specific case study. Are you wanting to go back one level so we could see all of the things?
Just an overall tips about layout and how I can show my ability to solve the problems of my clients and so on.
Gotcha. Oh, I see. I'm looking at the wrong link. Okay, cool. Let me add this link to the chat.
And please try to simplify your language when give me tips because I have told you that my language is not very good.
I understand. Yeah,
So,
we'll do the best we
okay.
can. Okay, cool. Give us some background on what your goals are. So I'm hearing that you're a designer. Are you currently applying for jobs?
No, now I work freelancing, but I'm looking for higher, clients who I don't know how to tell you, but you can check my portfolio and give me tips that help me to improve my ability to convince my clients that I have the ability to solve their problems in social media and making their profiles, the company profiles, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Let's see. So you are freelance. Um, One of the quandaries that we have on these calls is if your goal is to have a portfolio dedicated to freelance, I won't be able to provide as much valuable feedback for you as we will be on other calls. So, for example, Tarika and I are well established in regard to product design and enterprise space, and we have knowledge of who that target audience is. But you, as a freelancer, has a different target audience. Therefore, Tarika and I will struggle to speak to your target audience in any form of objectivity or fact, if that's making sense. Is all that making sense so far?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we can do a real high level overview of some of your stuff and we can provide some high level recommendations, but know that you should challenge all of it and that it's going to come at the sacrifice of not more deeply understanding like your business strategies and that sort. Is that okay with you?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, excellent. Well, the one of the first things we have to talk about is Behance here. Taraka, how do you feel about Behance as a portfolio medium for designers?
Um, I think I think it's fine, but I think it's less and less that I see designers having a Behance. Um, but this is a different target audience. This is not for designers. But I wonder how many people who want to hire you also know about Behance or have accounts in Behance or something like that. Um, I wonder, like, are you showing this on any other platforms, or is Behance the only one? Like, are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I have my accounts in Instagram and X and Facebook.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I think then Behance is a nice to have. But I would also think about a portfolio website. And it's not really a portfolio website, but just a website, right? To showcase your work. Yeah.
Yeah, Amaro, is there, I love where Tarika's mindset is at here. Is there a friction point that is preventing you from building a personal site of some kind?
Yeah, I'm not a designer of websites. So I didn't think that I'm able to do it or to make it. So I prefer to choose this choice, which is easier. And I think it gets good clients from the Gulf, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So
so
Yeah, I
okay.
go ahead. Tadika, were you going to say something?
I thought I was cutting off someone. Y- yeah, I mean, what I was saying is like what I have seen a lot of brand designers do. I think your work is amazing. What they have just done is like they are very bullish in terms of marketing themselves on Instagram, on even LinkedIn sometimes. Really, wherever their target audience is mostly looking. Um, so yeah, I would really push for that.
Yeah. The problem we're trying to solve here, Ammaro, is that the Behance has a myriad of advantages and a myriad of sacrifices. In regard to advantages, Behance makes it so easy for you as a designer to showcase and publish your design work online. It drops the barrier of entry so everybody's able to do this so quickly and efficiently, which is awesome. It comes with some sacrifices. Notably, Behance is a service. I'm going to try to channel my Tim for the folks in the chat here. Notably, Behance is a service Behance is a service that prioritizes itself over you. So know that if I were interested in hiring you, for example, I'm going to select the message button to hire you, but I can't even message you until I log into the platform. So just to even contact you, there's already a barrier of entry to get a hold of you. And ignoring that, there's also links to other designers on here. There's a start free trial button, there's a sign in button, there's a myriad of mental friction points here and a cognitive load that is reducing my ability to focus on hiring you as a designer, thus sacrificing your abilities to sell your services effectively. What Tadika and I are mentioning is all of those sacrifices go away if you are able to build your own custom site and showcase your stuff more effectively. I see we've lost you in the chat. Are you still out there somewhere? Ammaro, they've taken off.
Yeah. I can't hear them.
Yeah, they've taken off from the chat. Hopefully they're doing okay. All right. Chat, I'm looking at other links here. This is an awkward week. There aren't many links in the chat. And if anybody else would like their portfolio or resume reviewed, there's an opportunity to hop to the front of the line. It's a quiet Friday this weekend. Addie, come on up. Stoked that you're pasting a link in here. Invite to speak.
Hello.
Addie, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you this Friday?
Yeah, doing well. Hanging out, staying out of trouble. Give us some context of who you are and what's the problem you're trying to solve.
Hi, I am a designer and illustrator. I mostly have been I spent 5 years in a digital media company designing, and after I got laid off, and I was still updating my portfolio, but I wasn't really doing it in the business sense of things. So now I just have that. I feel like that's my gap. I'm not positioning myself correctly.
Okay. When you say the words business sense, that's what you're thinking. You're not positioning yourself effectively for a target audience.
Yes, because I'm trying to get hired in like in a similar role, and I think I'm just not hearing back because I only look good as a designer, and I'm not speaking to the business side of things.
Got it. Totally understand where you're coming from. What's the title that you're trying to target?
Mostly marketing designer and graphic design. I still want to do that. I have some background in UX design, so I can go that direction with interactive design and stuff. But I was mostly doing it through, I don't know if you heard of Saros. So it's not a lot of what the code. Yeah, Saros is like a interactive, but not. It's kind of like what Webflow, kind of.
Oh, interesting. That's what this website's currently built in?
No, that this is Squarespace.
Gotcha.
The projects that I have up there are built in Saros.
Ah, I see. So if I click on this first one here, this is a Ceros project.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, neat. I'm hearing, I totally empathize with where you're coming from here. And I'm so sorry you got laid off. I'm sorry to hear that. The industry is in a mess at the moment. You're mentioning business sense, like your positioning. I'm hearing that you're feeling your positioning here is probably the missing piece of this puzzle. And I'm hearing a couple of things that could potentially mimic that perception here. So you've got your goals, marketing designer as a job title, but potentially also graphic design, but a background in UX. And I'm hearing that you've got a horizontal skill set across multiple industries, thus making it hard to narrow down how to position yourself. Is that where your brain is currently at?
Yes, I feel like I spread myself too thin as a generalist and not really speaking in terms of like a specialist anywhere.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Tell me about that. That mindset's interesting. It sounds like your intention is to specialize. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure. I tried to think about this last year and it just like I still liked being a generalist. I would focus on one thing and after it's like getting exciting about doing a brand project or doing this. So I still feel like I'm still a bit of a generalist. So I don't know.
Nice. Okay, cool. Man, there's so many things, so many fun things we could talk about here. Was there a particular section of your site you were wanting to focus on? Or we can also ignore the site and just talk about positioning as well, if that's what you think has the most value for you.
Yeah, I think if we can focus on that, I feel like my site is out of date and needs a lot of updates. But yeah, I think positioning will help it immensely.
Cool. Yeah, I love talking about positioning. My background's in marketing, and about half the books behind me are in the marketing space, and the rest are in the product design space. Cool. I've got all sorts of thoughts on positioning here. Let me check in with Tadika off the top, just real fast before we dive in. Tadika, in regard to Addie's positioning here, I'm curious what you think about her current portfolio and how it's positioning her. Are you seeing marketing designer in what she's describing here?
100%. I think your portfolio is actually great. I see that immediately as I see your projects here. So I honestly, I don't think maybe you can craft your about me a little bit nicer. And I'm not saying like the main about me, just the one line blurb that you have up top. Maybe you can craft that a little better, but other than that, I think your portfolio is great. I think strategy of outreach is where you need to focus more. That is my like high level point of view here.
Yeah, I love that thinking. I agree. I think I think if your goal is to position yourself around marketing designer, I think you're doing a lot of stuff here really effectively. I think if your goals were to position around graphic designer or UX designer, I think there's some missed opportunity. Do you have an inclination on which direction you were leaning in regard to those three titles?
Marketing and only because there's more jobs in it that I do lean towards the UX UI.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. Let's see here. There's something I want to chat about, being a generalist versus being a specialist. And this is a really interesting conversation that I have with a bunch of mentees, and it's counterintuitive to how most people think about this particular problem. So let's say we were to build your portfolio and target the role of marketing designer, and we perfectly position you to target marketing designer roles at larger enterprise organizations. Now, there's a sacrifice with this. This narrows down the amount of jobs you can apply for. That means you probably will no longer be able to apply for graphic design jobs because you are in an adjacent bucket to that, and there are folks that specialize in graphic design. So now you've put yourself in a box that is reducing the amount of jobs you can apply for, but the major advantage is that when those jobs become available, you have a greater chance of achieving that job with a much greater advantage to that of all your competitors also applying for that job. All the marketing books behind me would argue that that's a more effective strategy to go for. Now, let's say you apply, let's say another job comes and it's a graphic design role, and you think to yourself, well, I wish I wasn't this deeply focused in this box. I wish I was slightly more generalized so I could also apply for that role that's in a different adjacent industry. So your inclination might be, well, let me take my value prop, let me take my portfolio, let me generalize a little bit more so I'm not as deeply in this box as I previously was. The consequence with this strategy is that you can now apply for that position, but somebody else also applies for that position, and they specialize in that position. So even if you were to generalize, enabling you to apply for that role, you still get outbid because other folks are specializing in that industry. Thus, you still don't get the job. Therefore, the only wise strategy here is to specialize and put yourself in that box with a goal of reducing the amount of competition that can also apply for that role. You're just more advantageous than them when you can't apply. Let me pause there. How's that sounding so far? Is that making sense?
Yes.
Do you have any resistance to like heavily leaning into the marketing designer role and ignoring graphic design and UX design?
No. No resistance.
Okay. I was expecting some resistance, but I'm hearing like, it sounds like you've already thought about this quite a lot. And from what I'm feeling, it's feeling like you've already like pondered going down this path already. Is that how you feeling about that?
I got an opportunity to freelance in an interactive designer role, and I didn't love it. So I
Cool.
it's like
Okay.
I like doing it once in a while, but like having to do it every single day was a lot.
Got it. Interesting. Now, do you have a desire? So like, let's say we target marketing designer. Do you know if you're targeting like what kind of industry or company you're trying to target? Do you have any ideas there?
No. So this was a media company where it was like an online publication. So it leaned a lot towards editorial. So not a lot of editorial jobs, but so I've been trying to position myself to marketing companies, but I believe like I would need I need more business sense, so I actually make sense to whoever's like reading my resume or PDF.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. There's some interesting conversations there. Tadika, how you feeling about all of this so far? Any additional feedback?
Yeah, I have a question. Like, are you targeting studios, creative studios, or are you targeting like companies where there's a marketing designer role next to like are you targeting Microsoft or Google's of the world, or are you targeting like IDEO or like Frog Design kind of the world?
I would say I was targeting companies.
Okay. Are you open to studios?
Yes, I just did not know where to look to see where a studio was open, and then it's I haven't been following too many studios, so I've been
I
trying to.
see. Yeah, I would definitely look into studios as well. I mean, I think New York has a lot of studios. SF has a lot of these as well. A lot of my friends who are doing exactly what you're doing actually do work at studios. They've And it's a lot more fulfilling for many of them because they get to work with different brands, which creates their portfolios a lot faster, of course. But of course, that's your decision. But just want to highlight that there's that entire world as well. And yeah.
You know, there's something interesting about talking about studios here, Addie, and that is, have you ever had a conversation about the different team formations that appear within different organizations?
No, I don't believe so.
So check this out, and I hope this isn't too adjacent. I want to go to mental. Let's see, I've got it open here. So, Tadika, I can't remember. Did we talk about centralized versus decentralized environments last time you were on?
Not sure. I don't fully remember.
Yeah, I don't think we did. But I
No.
love talking about it. I think it's so fascinating. So, Addie, where I'm going with this is there are different flavors by which organizations formulate their design teams. Now, marketing designer, would you argue that's part of a design team, or would you think that's more embedded within a marketing department?
I believe it's because at my place we had a design team, but I believe in other places I've seen it's part of like the marketing department.
Yeah, it's reminiscent. I had essentially a marketing design role at a bank about a decade ago, and that was embedded within the marketing department. But I've seen it elsewhere. Like I've seen design teams also incorporate some of that effort. Okay, so where I'm going with this is there are different flavors by which organizations organize their design teams. Here are the two extremes, centralized and decentralized, but you should know that there are other flavors in between these two that we're not talking about today. But these two extremes are also by far the most common. So the reason I'm bringing this up is agencies are typically more, how do I describe this? This is what's referred to as a centralized UX team, and the idea is all of the design effort is housed and owned by one particular person, typically. In this case, a UX manager, could also be a product design manager. Agencies typically call this role a creative director. And the idea is, like, let's say this is you here, this yellow designer, it says UX, but you can just pretend it's marketing designer. The manager says, Addie, welcome to Monday. I'd like you to work on tickets A and tickets B, and when you're done with those, let me know, and I'll assign you other stuff to work on. And then you can work on tickets C and tickets D. Now, what's fascinating about these environments is because all the designers are housed in one spot, when these roles appear in the job market and you apply to these roles, the hiring managers have a priority to hire folk whose skill set enables the entire team to grow. So for example, we've got Steve over here who's really good at accessibility, and we've got Joe over here who's really good at design systems. So now if a new job opens up in that Addie that you apply for, they don't really need to focus on hiring somebody with design system skill sets or accessibility skill sets because their team already has that under control. So now the question is, like, what specialization does Addie have that enables the team to excel in a new direction? So that's centralized UX teams in a nutshell. This is the formation that's most often found in agencies, though agencies are also a myriad of, they have all kinds of different methods of organizing themselves, but like centralized teams are often found in agencies. How are you feeling about that? Is all that making sense so far?
Yeah, that's like exactly how my old job worked.
Oh, cool. So you're familiar with this. Was that an agency role?
Similarly, yes. We had a design director on the team, and after we all had skills amongst ourselves, and after usually when they did do a hiring process, they would just not find what they were looking for and just not hire the person. So what you're saying makes sense.
Yeah, cool. All right, right on. Well, let's compare that, because this is what's referred to as a decentralized UX team. This is you here as the yellow designer again. But now you'll see that you don't work on a team of designers, and now you're embedded within a particular product or initiative. Tadika, I'm going to speculate, like you working at Amazon, does this formation more resemble your particular flow in enterprise stuff?
I suddenly can't see your screen. Can you drop a screenshot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Well, Chad, are you folks able to see my screen?
I can see it.
All right.
I think it might be okay, I can see it on the chat. Thank you. Well,
So in these formations,
sometimes I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I
Saying
cut you
something,
off.
Nick?
Carry on.
Yeah, so we have both structures actually. We have marketing designers sort of embedded within product teams, but more often than not, I would actually see a marketing team as a separate entity with multiple marketing designers who are working cross functionally with for different product teams across AWS. Or they could be given like a specific category, like you cover all AIML services, and so they will work with all those product teams.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. So Tadika, you're describing that when it comes to marketing designer roles, you don't typically see them working with other designers. You see them working on like more initiatives within the marketing department as opposed to like a design team.
Yeah. Like they are mostly I've seen marketing designers running solo, and from a design point of view, and then they're cross functionally doing a lot more stuff.
Yeah, no, I love that thought. So Addie, where we're going with this is what's called a decentralized UX team. This is more common in enterprise structures. This is the formation I'm more comfortable with. And now you're the only designer working on a particular product team, and your coworkers, instead of being designers, are now that of product managers and developers and product owners and business analysts, things like that. So in these environments, one of the caveats is if a job opening is posted and they have this formation of work environment, then rather than you being a specialist in some fashion, it's more important for you to be a generalist because you're the only designer on this particular product team. You have to have at least some myriad of skills in the entire process because there's no other designer that's able to achieve that for you. You're the only designer on that particular initiative. Oftentimes there will be a couple of designers in these initiatives, but overall, this is like the baseline that you might be looking for. So in these formations, Addie's better positioned as a generalist. So circling back to your portfolio,
Yeah.
it's now kind of the question of like, well, who do we want to target in your marketing designer positioning? If we're targeting mid-level to smaller companies, we'd want to target centralized environments and focus you as a specialist in some fashion. If we're targeting enterprise corporate organizations, we'd prefer to position you as industry specific, but with a generalistic horizontal skill set with a focus on marketing design. How are you feeling about all of that? That's a lot of words. Is all of that making sense so far?
Yes, it's getting through.
How you feeling about all of that?
Like I wasn't applying great.
Say that again?
Like I wasn't applying towards like a company that would have better accepted me, basically.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I'm hearing that your potential job searching strategy is probably askew now. I mean, that's good to hear. So like talk about low-hanging fruit. We've now identified a core problem and a real easy solution. Well, easy is a strong word, but the solution is then figuring out what organizations are you looking to target, like corporate versus enterprise. I'm sorry, enterprise versus startup, for example, or enterprise versus agency. And then we can better position you toward that particular direction. Addie, I'm looking at the clock.
Also,
Oh, go ahead, Tadika.
sorry, one last thing I'll add is also look into category of the space that you're targeting. Like, are you targeting fashion, beauty, brands, or are you targeting tech companies? Because the portfolio would look a lot different, I would imagine, with a tech company, kind of like if you're targeting, let's say, I don't know, like an Apple, for example, that might be, you might want to look at a different kind of visual for that, and case studies also.
Addie, we're
Thank
gonna
you for
follow up with you. How are you feeling about all of that so far?
good. And also thank you for the suggestion. Hanukkah. Yeah, I didn't think too much about how heavily my portfolio is just it screams Gen Z, and that does not make sense for like a tech company if I do apply to one.
Yeah, I can show you a really easy example here of my own website. By the way, Tim just hopped into the chat. Tim is the other co-host here, who's normally on with Fridays. If you haven't met him before, Tim, how is your public picnic going? Looking strong.
It's so blurred, but I don't know how many people do you think came? It's like a couple hundred.
Couple hundred.
Couple hundred. It's been crazy. There's a lot of people here. I'm actually talking, Nate, to WordPress people right now. So I don't, but there's a lot of people here. Grace is here. Brandon's here. It's starting to rain a little bit. It stopped raining, but it was.
Like covering all my camera.
That's like it's good to see everyone. And sorry I couldn't be there today.
Excellent. Say hello to Tim, everybody in the chat. Tim and Brandon, glad to see your faces. Glad to see you hop in. Addie, let me show you real fast. This is my own website. What I'm really wanting to showcase here is the visual identity, and the target is dedicated to that of like enterprise healthcare. So you can see my value prop targeting healthcare. My colors theme is like white, blue, and gray. It's not what I would call, like, it's not my style, right? This entire website is dedicated to that of positioning me toward the target audience, regardless of my personal taste. So that's like the direction I would want to lean into for your portfolio, is figuring out who that target audience is, and then building a site that's dedicated to targeting that audience most effectively. So the ball is really in your court now, Addie, and it's a tough one to answer, and that's just, who are you wanting to target as you're applying for jobs? Really easy to say on paper, hard to accomplish. Do you feel like you've got any inclination or actionability in how to narrow down that scope?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to find more studios to apply to and clean up my portfolio to be less, I guess, Sheri and bright, and more, just look more focused. I might just make a lot of PDF portfolios, if anything.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
I think
Advantages and sacrifices to that too.
Oh.
I don't know if you saw this link in the chat previously.
Yeah.
This was the value proposition link. You don't, I recommend you do create a value prop, but really what I'm trying to showcase here is there are sliders here that are going to force you to make some decisions, and it walks you through like what are the advantages and sacrifices of those decisions. And that might enable you to hone down who you're trying to target in your positioning. Feel free to give that a go.
Okay. Thank you.
Addie. Yeah, and just one last thing. And Addie, you don't have to change the vibe of it. Like, I can totally see like a fashion or a beauty kind of inclined brand really liking your portfolio. So just wanna say like it's beautiful. Just it just depends on who you really want to target.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Addie, really appreciate the time. Appreciate you being willing to hop on with us.
Yeah, it was good talk.
Tadika, next on the list, we've got Sheri. Sheri, if you're still out there, put your hand up. Oh, there you are. I see you. I'm going to invite you to speak. And then it looks like you're sharing a Behance link. I can add that to the chat. Sheri, there should be a button on your side. Yeah, welcome. Sheri, hello, welcome. You're muted if you're talking. Glad to have you join us.
Hi, everyone. Am I audible now?
Yeah, you sure are. Hey, give us some context
Yes.
about who you are and what's the problem you're trying to solve.
I was working in India, and currently I've recently moved back to US. So I have a little bit of career gap, and I was working as a design researcher for a couple of years, a year maybe, and later as a marketing design coordinator.
Another marketer. Cool.
So yeah, so I kind of relate to her what even I'm like all over the place, more of a generalist category I may fall into. So currently I'm waiting for my work authorization. So till that time improving my portfolio or also expanding my skills into UI UX. So
Got it.
yeah.
Give me some context of your goals here. Are you like what's the problem you're trying to solve? Are you looking for jobs right now?
Not currently, maybe a couple of months I'll start reactively applying for the jobs.
Okay. So what's your goal with
Yeah.
today's session then?
I just want review on my current portfolio. Do I need so in previous I've noticed that Behance is not much acceptable or it's not friendly for the portfolios I felt. So do I need to change into a PDFs or should I make a website of it?
Yeah, certainly advantages and
All of it.
disadvantages. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What's the job title that you're looking to target and position yourself around?
Maybe into the graphic designing since I have already experience in it, and maybe maybe into the UX researching. There are again two different things, but I really enjoy doing both of them. So
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. We talked about Behance a little bit earlier on the call. Were you here for that conversation?
yes, I was there.
Cool. Anything you want us to review about Behance or are you already familiar with our rhetoric in regard to the advantages and disadvantages of Behance?
As previously I've mentioned that behind there's a lot of other things happening, so the person who's reviewing my portfolio may have access to it or may not have, may message me or not. So that's what I found it mostly the disadvantages of the Behance. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you've got the gist of it there. Tadika and I are big proponents
yeah.
of building custom websites. Do you have the ability to build a custom site, or is that a friction point for you?
Mm, I've seen there are multiple websites which offer uh, portfolio building for so maybe not sure about that. I need to explore.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the myriad of options out there for you if you're interested
Yeah.
in diving down that path.
Mm-hmm.
That said, like, I would have more arguments against Behance if your goal was UI design or product design. UX
Yeah.
research is definitely more on that scale of things. If your goal is targeting graphic design, I don't have as much argument against Behance. Tadika, feel free
Okay.
to challenge me on that. How do you feel about Behance as a medium for graphic design?
I think even for graphic design, what I've seen, where I've seen graphic designers get most attention is still through a website because graphic designers are actually the best positioned in a way to create really beautiful custom websites that is where you can really outshine many other designers actually. um so I would still push you to explore a custom website if you can, and it doesn't have to be very heavy. You can still connect it to a Behance if you want actually, but have the starting point be sort of a custom website. That could be like a middle ground. Maybe your landing page is your custom website, but you can route the projects to Behance maybe to start off. Another thing which I have found very helpful for, I think, graphic designers. Again, it depends whether you're looking for freelance or not, but Dribble, I hear, is a good option. A lot of designers access it even today. And yeah, social media, Instagram is another place where I've seen graphic designers post a lot. But again, like, it depends whether you're looking for freelance or not. Freelancers have found a lot of opportunity there.
Understood. Okay.
You've got a lot of really amazing looking stuff here. And I was surprised to click into it.
Thank you.
I was expecting final imagery and a lot of output oriented projects. I'm seeing a lot of process here. What was your, so when it comes to process, I typically see more of that on the product design side of things, less on the graphic design, but I love that you're diving into it. What was your ambition there?
So basically, I've done my bachelor's and master's in designing, so that's how it's been taught in our college. So that's the process we all follow, show the whole process and
Neat.
things. So.
Okay, cool. Man,
Yeah.
Photoshop and all the Adobe tools, in my college years, I think I took 8 semesters of Photoshop courses. And now I open it up so rarely. Just strange how times have changed.
Yeah.
But like for graphic design, still totally relevant here. Hey, I'd like to ask you about your visa, if that's okay. Do you have any visa constraints that you're having to work around or
Yes.
work toward?
Currently, I'm on dependent visa, H4. So I'm waiting for my EAD. Most probably I'll be receiving it. It's still in the process.
Got it. Do you
In a
have,
few more months.
is there a requirement for you to have sponsorship at your next position?
No, if I get the work authorization, then I
Nice.
don't need any sponsorship.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Yeah, that if the goal was sponsorship, that limits the amount of companies we can apply for, and I'd want to target certain industries. But if that's not a factor for you, then we can ignore that as a constraint, I think, right?
Okay.
Perfect. All right, cool.
So there's the third project, editorial and marketing design. That's actually what I worked in my previous company, Tech Mahindra. I was working for a client, so I couldn't put much of it. It's just what I found it. One of my project is online on Amazon, so I just took a screenshot and put it since I've signed NDA. So there are multiple projects which I couldn't put it due to I've signed NDA. So how do I deal with that?
Let me ask you, when you say you've signed an NDA, one of the common stories we hear on these calls is that somebody says that they've signed an NDA, and as we question it and as we learn about their actionability, it turns out that they typically haven't signed NDAs. They've either had the implication of NDAs or some other documents. Do you know for a fact that you signed a non-disclosure agreement?
Yes, there was
Okay.
complete
Got it.
paper
All right, cool.
design. Yeah.
Do you have a copy of that non-disclosure?
Yes. Wait, let me just.
You don't have to bring it up on screen. It'll be a document with
Yeah,
some
it is.
nuance.
Yeah, I have the document.
All right, perfect. So you've got it. That's great. So where I'm going with this is non-disclosure agreements aren't all equal. And I'd be looking for the stipulations by which the non-disclosure agreement comes into play. As in, there are often time limitations built into NDAs. There are often stipulations for which something becomes public. The non-disclosure agreement then is terminated. There are stipulations that I'd be looking for. So are you familiar with the verbiage of your NDA? Do you know what constraints you have to work around?
Not really. Maybe which are published, I can put it. I can't show the whole process. I'm not supposed to say the client's name, put our client's name. But yeah.
Sure. Okay. And that's great news, because what I'm hearing is when folks talk about NDAs, the immediate perception is I cannot talk about this project. But that's not usually what NDAs are protecting. NDAs typically try to protect the intellectual property of the secret sauce that's being evaluated. And much of the time we can talk about projects without talking about that IP. So like right now I'm hearing, if the constraint is we can't talk about the client, that to me says the solution is potentially just white labeling the project, but you can still talk about the project. Is that in line with where your mind is currently at?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Potentially problem solved. Tadika, do you have any experience with NDAs?
How I have gotten around it is password protecting. generally. So white labeling and combine that with password protection.
Okay.
So I still end up showing in a portfolio review, in an interview, I will end up showing it. But that is like, anyway, you do technically sign an NDA, and you can like let them know that this is this can't leave, this information can't leave beyond this interview. And that's how I've gotten around it.
Yeah, I'd want to. I love the mindset there. I'd want to read the NDA before we encourage you even sharing it privately, because that would
Yeah.
still theoretically be a violation. Though there are absolutely NDAs that specify you can share this if your goal is interviewing. So like, take a look for that verbiage. You can absolutely potentially go down that path.
Okay.
Cool. Sheri, we've talked about a bunch of stuff here. Where my brain is currently at is, you've got a Behance account. You're showcasing your effort on Behance. Your goal is a portfolio review. I'm trying to figure out, so like, we can continue talking about your projects here, but I'm trying to figure out what problem you're trying to solve. Like, did you say that you were applying for jobs currently, and you were trying to find a way to position yourself for applying for those jobs?
I'm actually looking for position how to apply for the jobs. Actually, I'm not applying right now.
Okay, cool. So that says a couple of things to me. I want to circle back to getting yourself a custom site. Have you dived down building yourself a custom site before, or is that like a scary ambition?
I haven't given a thought about it. Maybe I'll try working on that.
All right, Tadika, what are your go-to recommendations for folks building custom sites nowadays?
I think there are some pillars. One is what we've already talked about, which is, who are you as a designer? Really let that shine and have that be center stage of your portfolio. And just related to that, portfolio doesn't have to be just projects. It can be other things that you have done for the design community or in the design community. Quality over quantity, always. You don't need 8 projects to showcase what you can really do. Just try to pick like the top 4 or 5 projects that cover different breadths of experiences. Be very clear on, like, guide the person looking at your portfolio as if it's another design project almost. Like, how would you navigate them through, and what is your success metrics looks like, and design around that. Like, if you want them to reach out to you, how are you tracking that? Like, how are you tracking how they're navigating across your website, and whether they will finally reach out to you or made efforts to reach out to you? You'd want to check that. And I think that is actually very important. When I was initially applying for jobs in early career, then at that time I was using Google Analytics a lot, almost tracking it every week to see, based on the jobs I've applied to, how many have looked at my portfolio website, and what were the pages they were mostly looking at, and you optimize from there.
Okay.
So those are some like very high level things for me.
In regard to tools, the depth of knowledge that's required to have in order to build a custom site, really shallow nowadays. Like, I don't think this is a thing that you should be worried about. Webflow, common one. Framer is also probably the more common one right now. Any desire to dive into AI?
Oh, little bit, maybe. Not sure. But yeah.
You were a little quiet there. Did I hear you mention you weren't sure?
Yeah, I was not sure.
Yeah, gotcha. AI is a world of chaos at the moment. I would encourage you to
Yeah.
look at building a portfolio via AI. The barrier of entry to AI for building portfolios is way lower than folks think it is. It's so easy to do nowadays. So keep an eye out for that as well. A couple of really easy potential options for you out there. Sheri, I'm looking at the clock. We've talked about a bunch of stuff so far. I feel like we talked about a lot of theory. Do you feel like you've got
Yeah.
any actionables moving forward?
Yes, I'll start building on the portfolio for the website portfolio. I just wanted to know, do I continue showing the process or should I just put the deliverables for the
Yeah, the process
thing?
of what? Like actually building case studies or the process of building the
Yeah,
portfolio?
yeah, like currently how my portfolios are, like how I was showing the whole process of
Oh yeah.
how
Which one would you like to dive into?
uh the second one maybe. So, like when I build, should I continue showing the whole process, the challenges, goals, brand positioning? Should I continue doing that for the portfolios or should I skip that part?
No, don't skip it. Now, I want to preface that I don't have a background in graphic design, so you'll need to challenge what I'm saying here and challenge it with other designers. If you were targeting, if I were the hiring manager looking to hire a graphic designer, I would heavily emphasize what's the process you're using to go about solving these business problems. I'm not trying to hire an artist. I'm trying to hire somebody who's solving business problems for either myself, my company, or the clients that we have. So less about, of course, in your industry, it's going to be like aesthetic is paramount as well. But I really want to validate that you are solving business problems as well as the aesthetics. Tadika, challenge
Understood.
me on that. For a graphic design target, how do you feel about incorporating the process into the story? You are muted if you're talking. Tadika, did we lose you? No. All right. Well, I think you're doing a great job incorporating the process into your case study here. I think it's fantastic. Were you concerned about like the order in which you were telling the process at all?
Maybe, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So when I'm looking at portfolios, and you have to take, so I mostly look at product design portfolios, and I'm looking to have 3 questions answered. What's the problem you're trying to solve? How did you solve that problem? And then how did you validate that the problem was solved? In the graphic design space, that story is going to be a little different than that of product design. Probably fewer metrics that you're able to associate with, because a lot of your effort, I imagine, is on the visual identity side of things. So you've got the challenge here. Many wellness brands rely heavily on trend-driven visuals or overly decorated aesthetics. Serini, however it's pronounced, was created to explore a calmer visual language that feels grounded, timeless, and emotionally warm. Great. Like I feel like I know the problem that you're trying to solve. Now it's about how did you break that down into smaller pieces? How did you go about solving that problem? Now I'm seeing brand positioning here and target audience. Did you have any portion of that discovery, or were you handed like a document that specified here's who we're targeting?
This is a project I've done for myself, so.
Cool. Okay, so this is a conceptual project. Neat. For for product design, I would want to see like how you came to the understanding that this is how you should be positioning a product. For a conceptual study or for a graphic design study, I don't know I just don't have enough experience in that industry to know how impactful that is for you, like how important that is. But from my eyes, I think you're doing a really awesome job here. And I wish I could be more objective in my rhetoric here, but I really like the direction. I just don't have enough experience to tell you like how to finesse it to best accommodate your target audience.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Sheri, really appreciate the time. Appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Thank you.
Tadika, I saw you joined from your phone. No worries. I didn't. I should have been more accommodating with the clock. If you have to take off, I totally understand and appreciate you being able to hang out with us today. Let's see. Next, we've got probably time for one more. Next on the list, Let me scroll up. There's Sheri. Next on the list is Sai. Sai, are you still out there? Oh, you sure are. Sai, let's take a look. Sai, hello.
Hi, Nate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can. How do I pronounce your name?
You got it right. Sai it is. And I think
Excellent.
there's one other person before me so that I don't cut the line.
Oh,
I've
you're
been
right.
404.
Really appreciate you being empathetic there. Let's see, Eben. I didn't notice it because it wasn't a highlighted link. Eben, are you still out there somewhere? And if not, then you're on deck, Sai.
Yeah, sure.
Sai, I think we're good to go. I don't see Eben out there.
Awesome, cool.
Look at that.
Lucky.
You took the high road and you still get the review. Fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for this. Thanks for the feedback session. And I stumbled upon this whole community through Tim, I think. Yeah. So I'm here. My problem that I'm trying to solve is I'm looking for jobs, actively job hunting, and I don't like the fact that I'm getting very less interview invites. I want to increase that number. I'm looking for product design roles. I've had experience as UX designer both in agency and in-house, so like a contract opportunity. So I got both, and I want to move towards product, like in-house product roles because like I eventually want to move to like strategy, product scoping kind of roles. That's my story. And before you ask if my sponsorship things, I am a F1 OPT student, so I do have with STEM degree, so I do have like 1 + 2 years of authorization to work in the US.
Okay.
But again, that still is not enough for companies to have like enough confidence or leave in hiring me, right? Because they do think that that's still sponsorship.
Yeah,
That's a constraint.
Yeah, so visas are a tricky one. I don't know a whole lot about visas. Do you have the visa that costs that requires sponsorship from a company that costs $100,000, or do you have the one that only costs like $10,000?
Oh, I don't know about the 10,000, but I know for sure it doesn't cost 100,000.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the 10,000 though.
Yeah. Okay. Neat. So the reason I'm asking is like if you had, are you already in the United States?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That should put you in the cheaper one because I know folks who are moving to the United States and trying to get the job that way. They're restricted to the more expensive visa. And I say all of this with a huge amount of ignorance. So please challenge me, chat. Please challenge me in all of this. So like if you were in that camp, I would want to target more enterprise organizations because they're the only folks that have the budget for it. But if you're even if yours is only $10,000, there's still like a little bit of constraint there in regard to who we can apply for. Startups, for example, potentially out of the question. Is that where your mind is at?
Sorry, can you say that the last thing again?
I'm fearful that like if your visa requires sponsorship and it costs $10,000, I'm fearful that startups may not have the ability to afford that. Therefore, we don't want to target startups knowing your visa constraints. Like, how do you feel about that? Am I like in the ballpark of some of your concerns?
I'm really not sure about that, but I mean the logic makes sense. However, the fact that I'm in the Bay Area, right, and I do get a lot of attention from startups. At least they're not scared of hiring as an intern. You know, they're able to put that risk on me for internship, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
the
even
Bay Area real affluent when it comes to diversity and their inclusion in foreigners. So like I think you might be in one of the best areas for visa sponsorship.
Yeah.
Where in the Bay Area are you?
I'm in Santa Clara, South Bay.
Yeah. I used to live in Santa Rosa, which is like an hour above San Francisco.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Cool.
I used to live in Pittsburgh. I did my schooling and
Pittsburgh.
cannot complain
Okay.
the weather here.
Okay. Cool. All right, cool. So visa, I'm going to ignore that for the time being because it doesn't sound like it's a huge constraint. You're getting less interviews. Do you know where in the application process the failure point occurs? Like, is it the resume that's not working? Is it the ATS that's filtering you out? Is it the portfolio? Do you happen to know
Yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah, I wish I knew. I have no idea how this goes.
Cool. Let's.
I have no idea where I'm dropping off. Yeah.
Not resume, application. Cool. Do you have, I see you've got a resume link here. Before I open it, this stream is being live streamed to YouTube in the greater world. Is it okay if I open that resume link, or does it have like your phone number on there that you don't want shared with the greater world?
Maybe not. I do have my phone number and other things on that. I would appreciate if it's not opened.
Yeah, totally understood. Let's show. Okay, so we can talk about resume measuring a little bit. What's the title that you're looking to apply for? So you've got product design. Do you know what the elevation is? Mid-level, senior, junior?
Even though I do come with an work experience, I think I'm counted as a early, like new grad, right? Here in the US at least. But I am applying for even mid-level roles because like I do have conviction in my work that I can do it.
Sure, okay. Cool. And was there any particular thing about your portfolio you wanted to talk about, or is this like application failure point the real quandary for you?
So in my portfolio, I think you mentioned something about positioning, right? And I'm here like trying out all my chances. So I'm scared to position or reduce my chances in like applications. So I don't know how to balance that. And that's one question I had. And I don't have much, and I don't have much of consumer-facing application work in my previous experience. So when I am targeting for roles that have to do with like consumer applications, maybe I don't have that advantage. I don't know how to deal with that. But yeah, I'll stop there.
Got it. Let's talk about a couple of things here that I think are really interesting. So let's talk about positioning for a second. I've written down what I'm referring to as multiple boxes. I'm hearing that you have a quandary in regard to how to position yourself because your goal is to get a job. You don't want to reduce the amount of jobs you can apply for, but you also want to position yourself to be strong in a particular area. And there's a conflict there, right? Because the stronger you can position yourself in a particular area, the sacrifice is you can't apply for those other jobs anymore. Is that the dilemma in your head? Like you're really trying to get a job and position yourself for a specific niche is scary?
Yeah, spot on.
Cool. That's a common one. I'm stoked to hear. I'm stoked to hear that in regard to like, I think it's a solvable problem. So there are a couple of tricks we can play here. I had a speech about this earlier. Did you happen to be on this call like an hour ago when I was talking about this?
I was there when Addie was getting her portfolio reviewed, but not before.
Oh, okay, cool. I think I chatted about this beforehand. So the conversation is, let's say that we position you for a particular specific target audience. Let's say that we want to have position you as a mid-level product designer for healthcare with specialty in AI integration, blah, blah, blah. Now, in doing that and building that perception, we have reduced the amount of jobs. Did I talk about that with Addie? Is this redundant to what you currently heard, what you previously heard?
No, this is new, Nate, yeah.
Perfect. So let's say we put you in that very specific niche of a box. The sacrifice here is this reduces the amount of jobs you can apply for. If Amazon has a job opening, you apply for that one, they're going to review your resume and they're going to say like, well, she specializes in healthcare and AI, and that's not what we're hiring for. Therefore, you're disqualified from that position. There's an advantage with the strategy, and that is when a healthcare role opens up, you have the greater advantage that of all the other candidates that apply for it, and you have a much higher chance of getting that job. So there are my backgrounds in marketing and product design. Half the books behind me are in the marketing space. They would all argue that the most superior, the best method moving forward is for you to specialize and find that niche, sacrificing the amount of jobs you can apply for. But that's a really scary thing, right? So then you might say like, well, that Amazon job that I wanted to apply for, let me generalize like a little bit more just so I can also apply for these other adjacent jobs. Now there's another quandary. Now you can apply for that Amazon job, but somebody else also applies for that Amazon job and they specialize in cloud technology. And Amazon is still going to prefer them over you because they specialize in Amazon technology. So no matter what, you still get outbidded for that job. So the only real solution here is to position you for a target, thus making you most advantageous for those openings, even if it sacrifices other roles. Let me pause there. How are you feeling about that rhetoric? Any concerns with any of that?
I think that makes sense. But I do have a problem in my case where like there is an interest where I want to get into, and that's one domain versus a domain of experience I hold, right?
Yeah.
Or if I do want to get into the interest, how do I do that?
Yeah, so what you're describing is a pivot. It sounds like you're trying to pivot from job A to job B, but the industries are different enough that it's not a one-to-one. Is that what you're describing?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so there are a couple of strategies that we can use. The most notable one here is what's referred to as transferable skills. So like, let's say you currently work in healthcare, you're trying to get into finance, two different industries. Now we know as like product designers that the skill sets within those two jobs are kind of the same thing. It's just the industry knowledge that we lack. But there are some transferable skills between those two things. So like if your goal was to position yourself for finance, though you have a background in healthcare, you could say things like, hey, I've worked in healthcare, therefore I'm heavily in depth. I have a huge amount of knowledge in the politics and the corporate structure by which problems are solved. I'm big into regulation and government legal regulation. Those two things apply to both industries. Therefore, you can lean on those to try to pivot to the next job. That's strategy one. Easy to say on paper, a little bit harder to accomplish, and it still kind of puts you at a disadvantage. There's another strategy. It's lengthier, and that is you find a company that's in the middle ground of where you want to apply for. So if you're in healthcare and you're trying to get in the finance world, but those two industries are too far and you can't get a job in finance, you'd find an intermediary job that's like a Venn diagram of those two things. So you get a job there, and that job is closer to finance, therefore enabling you to pivot again more effectively, more easily, but also a much lengthier process, right? How you feeling about those two strategies? Any concerns there? And I've got another trick that I want to show you as well. But how are you feeling about those?
I mean, I'm good with these two. It's just that how do I do this, right? Like it makes sense in my head, but how do I present this in my portfolio or in my resume? But let's hear the third one.
I'm totally with you. So the next thing I want to talk about is marketing. And if there was one thing about marketing you needed to know for this call, it's that marketing is a battle of perception. It's not a battle of the actual product or how good the product is. It's just a battle of perception. So then the question is, how do we build the perception that Psi is applicable to target audience A? So there are a couple of tricks we can do here. Let me pull up my own portfolio here, and I haven't gotten a chance to show this off with chat just yet. I am heavily targeting that of healthcare. The color theme of websites dedicated to healthcare, the rhetoric, the vocabulary, the aesthetic, the visual identity, it's all dedicated to healthcare. It's not my personal taste of choice, but it's the right personal taste for the target audience, right? So that's healthcare in a nutshell. You can see my value prop, enterprise healthcare, agile design. Note the word healthcare right there in the title. My .com here is nabauer.com. I've got another .com. If we go to natebauer.io, it's going to load what appears to be the same site, and it is. It's genuinely the same site. But now some of the vocabulary has changed to that of, in this case, it's more generic, but you could also have a different box that you're trying to put yourself in as well. So you could have one for finance, one for healthcare, one for tech of some kind, who knows. So the objective there is, depending on what job application I'm filling out, I can provide different portfolios, kind of similar to how I customize a resume. I can customize my portfolio to which job I'm applying for. What's the current engine that you've built your website in? Do you have the capability to do some of that?
I built it on my on GitHub or GitHub. Yeah, GitHub. We're using Codex and Claude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You've got all kinds of capability to achieve that. So these two sites are genuinely the same exact sites. It just uses a little bit of knowledge and logic to adjust the value prop depending on which .com is loaded. You can totally achieve that with Codex.
Noted. Okay. And okay, so another thing is that I mean, I need to make myself visible, right? Like I think that's one thing with job hunting. So if you do have multiple websites or different domains, and what do you put on your LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's the tricky one. I would lean toward the LinkedIn either being your target audience of choice or being the generic one. Because ideally the LinkedIn is the second resource that folks discover you at. So like you apply for a job, they look at your resume first, they look at your portfolio first, and then they look at LinkedIn. So maybe it's the third. If we're being semantic, it'd be the third source there. So like by the time they get to your LinkedIn, theoretically, they already have a perception of your position at that point. Therefore, LinkedIn isn't as prominent. The folk in the chat, TJ's asking, that's a lot of work, isn't it? It's really not. So the websites, they're literally the exact same website. So they're like, if I edit some text here, it updates across both those .coms automatically. The only effort is like using in size case, using AI to just dictate to Codex, like, hey, depending on which .com is loaded, just load this value prop instead. So it's really easy to accomplish. Then
Understood.
Yeah, and then the only cost then is you have to buy different .coms, but $15 a year, not the most expensive thing. So really, when it comes to positioning, I'm a big fan of targeting and niching down as specific as possible. So then the only variable there is, well, rather than generalizing, so you can expand to all the other job positions, just build yourself more boxes. So I've got box A here, which is dedicated to enterprise scale. This one's a little generic, but I could say like enterprise tech or something like that if I'm targeting Amazon. And then on my other .com, I can target healthcare. On a third .com, I can target finance. On a fourth .com, I can target legal. So you can build the perception that you specialize in all these industries and then give yourself more boxes by which you can apply from, thus building more perceptions of who you are and enabling you to apply for all the jobs without generalizing. Whew.
Okay.
How are you feeling about all of that?
Yeah, I think I've got some ideas on how can I like implement this for my case. I do have a follow-up question. I understand that you are now positioning with these taglines, right, on your portfolio.
Yeah.
Do you change anything on your case studies?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. You totally can. The factor is that case studies are like lengthy documents, and they are like in regard to TJ saying like that's a lot of work. Case studies would certainly be a lot of work. If you've got other case studies that you think is better targeting certain audiences, I would. I don't personally, just because I haven't built that many case studies. But if you feel like diving down that path, you totally can.
Got it. Okay.
How many case studies does your site currently have?
Oh, currently I just have 3, and the 4th one is in progress, but I think I have, like I just show them how much I have achieved in that case study, but I do have some projects, but I just never try to build a case study because quality matters more than quantity, right? So
I agree with that
refraining
at a
my
high level, though know that when like recruiters and hiring managers are looking at your case studies, they will prioritize your case studies, which ones they look at. The first thing they'll think of is, I want to read the case study that's relevant to my industry. If you don't have a case study dedicated to industry, then they'll fall back to the first case study. So we want your first one. Ideally, we'd have industry-specific case studies. Otherwise, we'd want to make your first case study the most important, like the highest quality one.
But yeah.
Did you go to Carnegie Mellon?
I did, yes.
Nice. What a fantastic school. How'd you feel about it?
Going to Carnegie Mellon, I think it's a fantastic school, but yeah, the I did not expect to be where I am in the market, still looking for jobs. Definitely, I did not. That was not in my cards, right? And um, but I did gain a lot of like network, good people, and really good learnings that I never would have possibly had. So grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Nobody saw this particular economic standard coming, let alone the introduction of AI, two real wild cards that are blowing up the tech industry, not just product design, but tech in general. My gosh.
Yeah, yes. Another thing that I had a question about is you mentioned about like I wanted to pivot, right? And you said that the first priority for a hiring manager or recruiter would be to look for industry specific. And if I don't have that, and say that the industry that I want to get into is AI inference for that matter, or infrastructure for that matter, and what is the next case study or something that I can show here?
Let me repeat that back to you to make sure I'm understanding. I'm hearing that you're applying for job A. Job A is in an industry that you don't have a case study for. Therefore, how do you position your case studies so you're still applicable to be hired for job A?
Yeah. I mean, one nuance to that thing is that like it's just not enough to show transferable skills there. For example, with I feel like most of the AI companies and startups are looking for, hey, show us what you've built with AI, or I think that at least is part of their application questionnaire.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we're getting that
how do I
question a lot.
reflect that? Yeah, I have to come up with like answers curated for every application, and yeah, that's the thing. But how do I show that in my portfolio? I feel like my application question is answers are one thing, and my portfolio says something else, or it's just like.
Okay. Well, let me repeat that again. So you're filling out job applications. They're asking, hey, we need to make sure that you've got 2 years of experience in AI development and that you've built a 0 to 1 app with AI. So that's the criteria. Now your goal is to go back to your portfolio and showcase that you've got that ability.
Yeah.
Even though you don't have a case study currently targeting that ability. That's the quandary that you're trying to solve?
Yeah. I mean, where I'm getting at is I don't have a shipped product experience there, right? And I do want to I want to pivot there. And in that case, what do I do in my portfolio to strengthen my case as I am capable to do this?
Yeah.
Because I do have some experience. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I totally understand what you're describing. So the ultimate goal, the ideal, is that you'd have a case study that identifies that. We could certainly. So I'm hearing that like jobs are looking for those AI skills. Do you think you currently have those skills and you're just not showcasing them, or are you trying to grow those skills?
I'm trying to grow those skills, and I am also kind of building some products, which is mostly just for myself, right? Like
Sure.
something, yeah, it's not something that I can ship and make others use or test or something like that, but it is only for my workflows and day-to-day things. So
Yeah. Okay. I don't see a problem with that. So then the goal would be to build a case study based off of that effort that you're doing. Even if they're conceptual, that still validates and showcases that you have that capability. Are you struggling to make a case study because it's conceptual?
yeah, yes.
Okay. There are some quandaries there. Sorry, I cut you off. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying that like all these conceptual or these sort of products that I'm building, how does this in the group of case studies that I have in my portfolio, would that be even useful for hiring managers? Would they be looking for such products in the first place, or case studies in the first place, which are just concepts and not shipped products? Is that of importance? Do I have to? That is
So
one
sorry to cut you
question.
off again.
No, even I'm taking breaks in my like framing and gathering my thoughts, but that is one question. If that's of importance, I spend my time building those. Or like you said, in terms of transferable skills, should I be looking or spending my time to emphasize that more in my portfolio?
So I don't think those two things are opposites. I think AI is absolutely a transferable skill that folks are hiring for, regardless of industry. So you work in healthcare, you've got AI skill set. That AI skill set's a transferable skill to that of finance. So if you want to, I think AI is a fantastic tactic of showcasing that you've got the ability to work and pivot effectively to a different industry. I think that's a great idea. So then the question is, well, is the case study still showing value even if it's conceptual on your portfolio, but it still shows AI? And then I would answer it's absolutely valuable. Now the answer is if it weren't conceptual, it would have more value. If you had the ability to measure like business impact, it'll have more value. But conceptual case studies still provide value, especially with like AI is such a hot topic that I'm fearful portfolios that don't mention AI are just getting immediately bypassed and resumes are the same. I'm fearful that if you don't have any AI on there, you're just getting left behind. So I would heavily encourage, like, even if it's conceptual, still have some sort of AI case study on there just because everyone's looking for it right now.
Understood. Okay.
I'm seeing Matt in the Matthew Gailey's in the chat agreeing with me. Matthew is also a senior product designer. Interesting to hear his agreement there. I think, Matthew, would you agree that AI is like a uniquely awkward skill set that, like, I wouldn't suggest you build a conceptual case study to showcase skill A for other things. It's just that AI happens to be so prominent right now. Is that what your mindset is at, Matt? That's what I'm thinking. Sai, I think AI is just too important and wild of a factor right now.
Got it. Okay.
How you feeling about making a conceptual case study on AI?
The process was like, I think haywire, right? And I mean, it wasn't a plan. I just started a conversation with LLM, and I just figured it out as the conversation progressed. And I don't know how to, like, a traditional design project would have these process, and we would start with some questions and then uh, insights, learnings. But I guess I have to go back to the conversation MD file and see.
So for what it's worth, building
Yeah.
products within AI makes writing case studies wildly easier. So you can go back to Codex, like when you're done building this product, you can go back to Codex and say, dope, I'm done. Let's take all this and build a case study out of it. Write me an outline, build that case study for me. And you're going to have to do some tweaking, of course, to add some human element in there. But because Codex knows the entire thing that you did, it's going to be able to formulate and build that case study so quickly and effectively for you.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. You can stab at it.
Sai, appreciate hanging out with you. Were there any last friction points that we haven't talked about that you were wanting to before we hang up?
I think I'm good for now, and maybe I'll come back here again after I build my AI case studies and get some feedback on that.
Nice. Okay. Looking forward to it. Really appreciate you being willing to hop on the call with us.
Thank you, Nate. I really appreciate your feedback. Thanks.
Yeah, sure thing. Folks, I'm looking at the clock. That is going to do it for Feedback Friday today. I see there are a couple other links in the chat. We're not going to have time to get to you today. I'm so sorry. We do this every Friday, so feel free to come back on a future Friday. We do this from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to make sure you're one of the folks we chat with, you'll want to show up a few minutes early, 5-10 minutes early, just to make sure you're one of the first, usually the first 5 on the chat, because we often don't get past the 5th one. I have a couple of minutes to hang out for folks who are wanting to ask questions, and I see some out there already. Fabian, I'm so sorry that thing's not working. I'll have to take a look at it. If you can try hitting the button again, but let me take a look and validate that something's not broken. It's probably on the human validation side is probably causing problems. Folks in the chat, any questions out there? I think there was a question about ATS previously that I haven't chatted about. Differences between product design, UX, UI. There was one out there I saw. Yeah, D-Ben, are you still out there? You still need a D-Ben, there you are. D-Ben, let me show you here. So what are the differences between UI design, UX design, and product design? Now, I first want to preface that these models aren't universally defined, at least not in the States. So I have a definition for you, but you should be aware that other folks, recruiters, hiring managers, have different definitions for what these titles mean and are. I've got a definition here that I think is a good general overview of how these things should be defined and thought about. So let's take a look at this graph. Note that the left-hand side of this graph is tactical and the right-hand side is strategic. I perceive UI design as being the most tactical of these things. If you're a UI designer, you focus purely on outputs. There's some process at play, but for the most part, you're a dedicated output machine. Oftentimes, it's the case where UI designers are given tickets to work on, they're given criteria, and they have to provide the output to that criteria. Not a lot of research involved, not a lot of process discovery involved. It's a lot of like delivering and execution-based stuff. So from there, we've got UX. And what's interesting here is that I perceive UI as being a subcategory of UX. If you're a UX designer, you also do UI, though you will likely not focus on it as assertively as somebody that's focused in UI. So like for example, well, I'll come back to that. So if you're a UX designer, you're now also closer to strategy and business requirements. So now UX designers typically focus more on user needs. So who are the users? Who's the target audience? What are the problems they're trying to solve? How can we assist in helping a user solve those problems? Very user-based tasks. Then we move up from there, product designer. This is where I place myself. Product designers typically focus less on user needs and now closer toward business needs, as in what are the business objectives that we're trying to solve for? What are our quarterly goals? How do we break those goals down into smaller pieces? Now, I, as a product designer, still have skill sets in UX and still have skill sets in UI, but somebody that specializes in UX or specializes in UI are going to be better at those things than me. I'm now mostly focused at a higher strategic level. And then from there, we've got business-oriented stuff. So, D-Ben, I say all this with the asterisk that this is what I think is a good barometer for how the tech industry is currently perceiving these things. But keep in mind that recruiters and job descriptions, your mileage here will vary heavily. So even if you're a product designer and you see a job title for UX design, you should still apply for that because the recruiter may not have the intricate differences between those two things, nor will the company typically. This is like deep level philosophy, and these titles are still somewhat transferable, I could say. A hot take for you is I believe the titles UI design and UX design, I think those titles are going to go away. And I think product design will encompass all of those titles into one position. Hot take for you. Yeah, Matthew's also describing many companies don't know the difference. That is accurate. That's on the nose. You mentioned about keeping process and story, but if recruiters only spend 2 to 4 minutes per portfolio, would it be all right if I quantify my case study to less than 7-page slide case study mentioning everything very concisely, or a 2-minute video explaining that case study? I think I'm understanding. Would it be all right if I quantify my case study to less than a 7-page slide case study? Okay, so I think that I'm hearing two things. One is, if the target is recruiters, are they mostly interested in a summary? And if so, is it better to be more concise than lengthy? I think that's the question you're trying to ask. Let's focus on the first one. If recruiters are mostly interested in like summarizations. How concise do you have to be? So recruiters totally skimming. Hiring managers will skim your portfolio as well. The quandary now is, even if they're skimming, they're still skimming for particular keywords and positioning that they're targeting. So it could be industry, targeting, positioning, but also skill set, the skill sets that you have and targeting those. If the question is like, how lengthy should I make my case studies, or is too long a problem? Should I make them short so they're better for skimming? I take the philosophy that is a far greater, it's greater to have a lengthy case study and sacrifice potential boredom than it is to have not enough information and become disqualified. Like any recruiter who's going to continue to scroll on your portfolio, if they scroll halfway and they're like, and they've already made a decision whether or not they want to chat with you further or not, like that's okay that they don't skim the rest, but I'd much rather them have more knowledge than not enough to make a decision. So I'm a big fan of lengthy case studies, even if they're not fully read. Let me know if that answers your question. Oh, and the 2-minute video. I've thought about this in the past and I've chatted with other folk about it. Videos are an interesting novel thing that we can potentially add. I don't see them targeting hiring managers or recruiters. I see them targeting peers more than that. So earlier I talked about 3 target audiences: recruiters, hiring managers, and peers. We didn't talk about peers terribly in depth. So peers we're targeting them in 2 different ways that are kind of interesting. So one is, a common workflow for hiring managers is to get like the top 30 resumes that they've gathered. And then they'll go back to their coworkers and say, hey team, here are the top 30 resumes. Peel through these and let me know which ones I should interview first. So it's now those peers that we're trying to target. There's another reason we're trying to target them, and that is by far the most important, the most effective way of getting a job at an organization, by far, is a referral into that particular organization, not through cold applying, right? So it's through referrals. So the goal is to target that folk as well. And those folks are much more interested in who your personality is. Your character. If I work with you and there's a cubicle wall dividing us for 8 hours a day, are you going to make my life enjoyable? So like a lot more character about personality and who you are. So videos go a long way to targeting those groups, the peers who are interested in like your personality and capability and interest as an individual, your attractiveness as like a person that is working in the force. Hire managers or recruiters, not so much. For peers, can totally see the value for video. Hopefully that answers your question. I wouldn't go out of your way though to make video explaining case study, because peers also aren't like super interested in your case studies. They're much more interested in your about page. Many companies can't even spell product design. Any other questions out there? I'm scrolling up. If there are questions out there, there's lots in the chat. I wasn't able to follow the chat as closely today. All right. I've scrolled up quite a ways. I'm not seeing much. Unless there are any other questions out there, I can give you all some time back and close the Discord for the day. Friends, really appreciate the time. Appreciate hanging out with all of you today. Would love to see you at a future Friday. If we're not, I'll have to check back in and see if we're doing this next Friday. It will be an observed holiday. It's possible that I won't be here. Very possible that Tim will be here. So keep an eye out for that. We'll update the Luma event accordingly. So if you see a cancellation there, just you'll know not to show up. If you're not subscribed to the Luma events and you want to get updates on that, scroll to the very top of Discord. You'll see there's the event channel, and you can subscribe to the Feedback Friday Luma events up there. Sapphire is asking about the cat in the background. Is Toby behind me? That's Toby. Say hi, Toby. That's my orange brain cell. Toby's great. Oh, yeah. See, I woke him up, and now he's like, what the heck? You're not Are you ready to pay attention to me? All right, friends. Pleasure seeing all your faces again. I'm going to leave the chat open. I'm going to hop off here. Take care, folks.